Hola, hola, hola. Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing today? Today is February the 8th, 2021. My name is Sunshine Daye, and it is my absolute joy to welcome you to this day and to welcome you to your life on this day. You know, we've never been alive in February 8th, 2021. This is a first, and every moment is a first. Like even this hour, this breath is a first. So, my admonition to you today is to simply enjoy it and recognize it for what it is and absolutely take delight and pleasure in your living. You know, I see a world where clean and sober people are living their best life and loving it. So I provide the spiritual tools and the loving support for your personal transformation. Again, my name is Sunshine Daye. I'm your spiritual living coach. And our show today, and in the month of February, we're talking about the topic of beginning. We're talking about the topic of beginning. So let's break down the word beginning and what it means, or exactly what I'm talking about. You know, the definition of beginning, it's a noun, and it's the point in time or space at which something starts. And so, buenos dias, Elsa. So good to have you with us today. You know, here we are looking in the month of February at the word beginning. And we look at the word beginning and how we begin because, January for the most part is filled with a lot of New Year's resolutions, and people want to, start this new way of living, new way of life. And what they find is that they fall flat on their face, especially when it comes to starting a spiritual way of life. They don't know where to start, or they have these false starts. A lot of people try to get sober in the month of January. I know I did. It was crazy because, at the end, in December and through the holidays, it was like, yep, January 1st, I'm not going to drink and drug no more. I'm not going to do this anymore, yada, yada, yada. So it's amazing that, people actually keep these New Year's resolutions. I'm not one for New Year's resolutions. I am one for folks who make some clear, conscious choices. I ended up not getting sober. Good morning, Carolina. So good to see you and have you with us today. The date that I got sober was January 10th, 1987. So I just last month was celebrating 34 years of recovery and my own recovery. And that's one of the things that I noticed about myself is that it wasn't really until like all of that stuff got out of my system, the whole holidays and all of that I could really focus on just even having some clarity as to, what I wanted to start. So that's why last month our focus was clarity. And then this month our focus is beginning, the place or space and time where we start. And what is it that we're starting? We're starting to look at, and we're starting a way of living that is a spiritual living. And for me, that word spiritual means life affirming. So am I looking at living in a way that affirms my life? That's the key. And when folks are sober or in recovery from whatever the intoxicants are, drugs, alcohol, whether it's food, whether it's stress, whether it's drama, and they're recovering from those things, because you can be a recovering drama queen. I know many in my life. When we decide that we're going to be abstinent from those things, that we're actually going to develop a way and a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty, we're going to start this new way of life. What happens is we get that physical sobriety, right? That physical abstinence. And when we have that physical abstinence, things are going well and we get support from outside people. However, there comes a pain point where all of a sudden it's kind of like, dang, I'm sober, I'm clean, I'm abstinent. and yet my life is not going the way I want it to. And what it is that we must grow along spiritual lines. We must address the spiritual malady that is still present. And that's why this show is, it's called, A Spiritual Remedy, Conversations and Meditation, because we must begin to look for a spiritual remedy. What is the spiritual remedy for my spiritual malady? My spiritual malady means, that there is a sickness, a spiritual sickness that I need to recover from as well. And so for me, spiritual means life affirming, right? So again, there's a life affirming sickness. So in other words, I still continue to do things that don't necessarily affirm my life. And that's why the month of February, as we begin, as we start really looking at what are the things that affirm my life. And those things can, of course, concern a higher power, and us finding a higher power, us beginning a relationship with a higher power. It also means, though, taking into account those things that actually are for our highest good and our highest benefit. I know last week I talked about what I wanted y'all to do every morning to try it on for 7 days was, upon awakening, to drink water. I keep this by my bedside. This is my second bottle. I keep a glass of water. I keep this by my bedside. At night, I fill it up so that this way, when I awaken, I drink water. Now, there's something quite symbolic about water. Water is clear. Our bodies are made up of a high percentage of water. And don't you know that in the beginning, way before our time, that people actually called God water? And that water is a symbol for a higher power. Now, when I think about drinking coffee, or actually, nowadays I'm drinking mud water, right? But, coffees or teas or sodas or those kinds of beverages, what I know is that water is the best beverage for me. It is the best beverage for me. It actually affirms my life. It helps to clear out the toxins. It really helps to detoxify my body. So when I think about drinking water and in that intake of water, it also reminds me about my intake, my life affirming intake, my spiritual intake, the intake around my conscious living. And that is indeed that place. When we talk about a spiritual remedy from our spiritual malady, we're looking at how, what next steps can I take to actually begin to build a conscious contact with a higher power, with source. Thank you, Lisa. Lisa says that is very true. And good morning, Sunny Day and Peggy and Greg Dorset and Marilyn. What's up, Bertha? Shout out to all of you. Thank you so much for your support. So here's the deal, is that when we're taking in the physical water, the living water, that which allows us to really live and live fully, and that which detoxifies our bodies, then what is the spiritual food? What is the spiritual beverage that we're also taking in? And that would be, spiritual practice. Now, I want to read a quote to you, and it won't be up on your screen because it's kind of long, but I want to read a quote to you that I used yesterday in my Sunday message at the Downey Center for Spiritual Living, which it was quite moving, right? This quote by Adyashanti says this: enlightenment is a destructive process. Whoa. Enlightenment is a destructive process. It has nothing to do with becoming better or being happier. Enlightenment is the crumbling away of untruth. It is seeing through the facade of pretense. It is the complete eradication of everything we imagined to be true. Now, no wonder, right? So here's the deal, right? So many people don't get sober, don't get clean, don't get abstinent because it is a struggle and they have to deal with the pain and the destruction of these ideas that, living the high life on drugs or drama or stress or alcohol or food, that actually comforts me. BS. No, it doesn't. Right? So now that we're abstinent, now that we're on the road of recovery, not the road to recovery, the road of recovery, we're on that road, we're doing really well. Life is relatively okay, but there's this low grade fever that we've been experiencing. That we're prey to anxiety, misery, despair, doubt, fear, anger, that those things are still coming up is because we're suffering from a spiritual malady, a spiritual sickness, and what we need is a spiritual remedy. Now, enlightenment, as it is in this quote here, is a destructive process because somewhere or another in our magical fantasy thinking mind, oh, I'm sober now, I'm clean now, my life is supposed to be like, I've arrived, life is supposed to be good. That is only part of the solution. The abstinence is only part of the solution. Actually diving into a spiritual remedy completes the solution, where we must begin to eradicate the facade and the false pretenses of our life. This is not about, getting sober, getting clean, being in recovery and being like, oh, my life is good. My life is good, when we're lying to ourselves. Yes, my life is amazing. I love my life. But what I recognize as well is that unless I am engaging in a spiritual remedy, in life affirming practices, not only like drinking water and caring for my body, but also caring for my soul, that indwelling spirit, that power, that presence that actually activates this body. Like that, I have to be in relationship with that and listen to it like it's my GPS, it's my internal GPS. So where we start, and where I asked you to start last week, was by simply drinking water, to begin to have this opportunity for you to start somewhere. And sometimes starting with just something physical like drinking water, putting clear fluids in our bodies, is so important, because it also shows your willingness to do whatever it takes to have a spiritual experience, to be on the other side, to live a life beyond your wildest dreams. Woo! However, I think that sometimes we've been misled into thinking that enlightenment, or that process of enlightenment, is like, driving down easy street. It's not always that way. And Bertha says this explains so much. And it does. It explains so much. That's why the resistance, like anything worth it, anything worth your enlightenment is worth you going through the discomfort of obliterating, of eliminating, of destroying the untruths of your life. I mean, imagine living through life believing, some of the things that they told us, like, right? Like believing in Santa Claus. Right? There's no magical character that comes and brings gifts, but this is what we've been told. We've been told a lot about a lot of areas in life. And yet there are untruths, so much so that, even for me, that that even within me, You know, when I watch home fixer-up show, that in the beginning of the top of the hour, that house is a wreck. It's got all kinds of plumbing and electrical work that needs to be done, structural work that needs to be done. But you know what? When that hour is done, the house is a palace. It's, you know, it's staged beautifully. And, you know, I think that's going to happen for me. Oh, when I start a project, that I should be able to get it done in an hour, hour and a half. What I'm not realizing and taking into consideration, that it took them weeks and weeks and weeks to film that, even months at a time, and then condensed it into an hour show. And that's, you know, so if you can even imagine, right, in order to have that palace, there has to be some destruction. There has to be some leveling out, some rewiring, some replumbing. All of that needs to happen, and it's a process. That takes time. It takes time and it takes energy. And if we're only going to give it a half measure, we're not going to get anything out of it. We're not. And so this week, hopefully from last Monday to today, you've been drinking water every day. And if you haven't, okay, no harm, no foul. This week, keep a glass of water by your nightstand, by your bed, and every morning, go ahead and drink water. Now, this week, we're also adding something else onto the drinking water. What might that be? What that might be is an affirmation. So we're going to start this week with drinking water and an affirmation. Now, I might have hinted to that last week, but what I really want you to do is to begin to remind yourself that you love your life. You know, so as you're drinking the water, as you're, you know, having that intake, I love my life. My life is amazing. My life is beautiful. Whatever affirmation that you choose for yourself, you know, make it powerful, make it present tense, that it is right now, not that I will be, but that it is now, powerful, present tense. Make it that it's something that you can totally be present with. And we're going to begin there this week. So it's water and your affirmation. I love my life. I love my sobriety. You know, I'm willing to go to any lengths. You know, whatever it is for you that's going to really make a difference. I eat healthy foods. If you want, go ahead and put in the chat your affirmation for this week, so that while you are drinking your water, that you're also affirming your life. Here's the beginning. We got to start somewhere. And the deal is that enlightenment can be a messy process. But what I can tell you is that on the other side of that bridge, when you have those aha moments, when your way of living is so rich and so full, that when you're saying, I love my life today, when you say, I love my life, when you're on the other side of that bridge, it's like, boom, like, oh, yes, because I worked for this. I got through the untruths. I dropped the bomb on the untruth. They're obliterated. They are, I'm now seeing through the facade, through the pretense. It is completely eradicated. Thank you, Wenda. Wenda says, I allow myself grace. I am grace. Imagine, I'm going to do that right now, you know? I allow myself grace. I am grace, you know? And just drinking that in and drinking it in. There's something about speaking the words, saying the words in your mind, drinking, you know, drinking that fluid that begins to add things together and begins to build and build and build. Thank you, Peggy. I move with ease and grace. That's right. As we begin to shed any weight, any unwanted areas, as we begin to get more flexible and be healthy with ourselves, I move with ease and grace. Bertha, thank you so much again, right? I love my life. I love my body. Imagine drinking that water and just holding yourself. I love my body. I am at peace with my body. Oh my gosh. Here's the beauty of that is that we're building one step and then building another step. And so even if you're just joining us this week, drinking that water, stating that affirmation, like that is indeed what beginning is all about. The next thing that I just kind of want to share with you is that if you want to follow along, go ahead. Here's my book. It's called Begin Within, and it's a playbook for living your genuine life. You can find it on Amazon. And this month we're talking about beginning. And here's the beauty of the graphics in the book. You can tear out the page, put it up right where you are, so that you can see the affirmations. I give you affirmations for the month if you want to use these. Today is a new day and my new beginning. Oh, I love your affirmation, Marilyn. I am at peace with my journey of life. Isn't that amazing? I am at peace with my journey of life. Like, amazing, amazing, amazing to be at peace with your journey of life. It's just like, absolutely. And to affirm that to ourselves every day is the beautiful part of how we actually get to live spiritual lives. I am love is one of the affirmations that I have here. I am kind to all who cross my path today. Today, I expect a miracle. A miracle is something that is not a day-to-day occurrence. Like, it's not always guaranteed. So giving birth is a miracle. The small things in life, these are all miracles. And so here's the deal. We've had the conversation. I love that all of you have added in some of your comments and have collaborated with me this morning, because this is how it works. Pretty soon, actually in the month of March, I will be opening up a Zoom call for those who want to be in a small group or be in one-on-one coaching. More information is going to come out for that. And I know that many of you have been asking when I was going to open my groups up again. And so I want you to know that in March, sometime in March, I'll be opening up my groups, and I have a few spaces left for some one-on-one coaching. It's a joy. For me, it's a joy to guide you and to be your spiritual living coach and guide folks, especially folks in recovery. You are my people, right? You are my people. When we are prey to misery and doubt and fear, and when, we've gone through the steps of getting sober, of getting clean, of being abstinent, and then there's still like this low-grade fever, it's my absolute joy to provide the spiritual tools and the loving support for personal transformation. Like, that is, that just brings me joy, because I see people in recovery living their best life and loving it. And so now it's time for us to just take a few minutes in the stillness and in the silence. And so I want to invite you, if you can, wherever it is that you are, to just gently close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, bring your attention to your breath. You might even tell yourself, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. And notice the peace that comes right away as you just pause in your own stillness and silence. Notice that it doesn't matter if there are noises and sounds nearby you. Notice how comfortable you are just being in the stillness and silence. That stuff on the outside of you does not matter. That what matters is the quality of your being. That you are at peace in this stage. And in that stillness and in that quiet, you just commit to beginning today. Clean slate. I begin today. I begin loving today. I begin loving myself today. I begin accepting the joys of life today. And as you gently open your eyes and recognize that this is where you begin, just put a smile on your face. So glad that you were with us today. I also just kind of want to give you a heads up that I'm not working with anyone who's asking you to inbox them for any particular reading. So if you are getting those messages, that is not official from me, and you can feel free to ignore it or bypass that. Know that you are loved, and that right where you are, the presence and the power of God, of higher power, of life is. Until next Monday, know that I'm here for you. I'm your spiritual living coach, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Bye for now.
Celebrate life. You celebrate your life. Celebrate the memories, the birds and the trees, the hugs and the kisses, the hits and the misses.
Don't wait till it's too late.
Don't wait till it's too late.
Love and appreciate.
Love and appreciate.
Show them that you care.
Show them that you care, and you'll always be there. Celebrate life, rejoice, rejoice, 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 celebrate life, rejoice, rejoice,